Hello, 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 friends. Nicholas here with DIVO, TED Talks, Devoted Talks, depending on how you want to say it, where we take ancient wisdom and practices through a modern lens and experience to help end suffering for you and those you love in your personal and greater worlds. So, oh, I've got a lot on me right now. So I've got my allergies, which are affecting me like friction with my environment. I am incompatible with my environment right now as far as my ability to breathe and tolerate these diffuse particles in the air. Actually, they're not very diffuse. The air is yellow. Like the sun coming up this morning, I could see yellow in the sky. And my car was yellow this morning, so it's all over the place. My eyes are watery now, and it's just my head is swimmy. And the uh, medicine works, but it has diminishing returns as I continue to use it, which is all expected through an Ayurvedic lens. So not only do I have that, so I am having these frictions with just general physical life, but then that creates certain feelings, and that is bumping up against emotional stuff that I'm going through. So I'm having quite the time of it. And environments change. We bump up against whatever is available to us. Sometimes it's friction, sometimes it's smooth, sometimes it's somewhere in the middle, or some variation or combinations of different qualities. And that's just how it is. And so, I get contemplative about this stuff because I like to understand the metaphor and, what it can mean in a greater sense. And I think I can see it, right? Like, our environment sometimes requires us to stay in it, and therefore we have to adapt, or we have to find strategies that help us adapt safely or more fully than if we weren't doing that adaptive strategy. And so it becomes this dance of attraction and rejection and back and forth with regards to the different qualities and their impacts and effects on the body. And within that is the way we interpersonally relate with people, right? There's different frictions and environments that happen with the space that we have and hold with other people. And so sometimes we're compatible and sometimes we're not. One might even argue astrologically that there may be things going on that are igniting different things within the both of you or pulling those particular sides of yourself to each other. And so, for instance, two people who have small sandpapery sides, small rough sides, can have those two sides independent as they are bump up and or rub up against each other, and within that causes all kinds of issues. But it's momentary, and it is more about the qualities and the moving of forces than necessarily doing something right or wrong. Like I've had an experience within this week where I feel like, based on the details, that I somehow missed the boat on things. Like I got it wrong, and I just don't tend to do that. I don't tend to miss things, and I don't tend to read things wrong. And yet the details currently say that I have, not from a you got the answer wrong standpoint, but forces change, and sometimes people change what they like, right? So like sometimes you like water, but maybe this is the month that you like mountains. And so something that used to be an alignment is now contrary, but it may not last, and it may not have been what it was just a little bit ago. And so being able to accept that things are in flux all the time, and just as quickly as it can go one direction, it can go another. And so I think that's where my lesson is going. Instead of dramatically reacting to the thing that I think that's happening, understanding that maybe even this may not be exactly what it looks like, just as the previous situations or interpretations of situations weren't what either they were or what they seemed to be. And I know that's super vague, but I think anybody can relate to these ideas in a vague way because it's pervasive, right? There's some mix between what we want to happen and what we are seeing happen and or are scared might happen. And then we're kind of creating all of them simultaneously, and they come out in different spits and spatters. And so some cancel the other out, and some negate the other, and some are neutral to the others. And it becomes a unique experience. But what I see in the new age world that I really don't believe in anymore is this idea of, a the right way or a perfect way of manifesting. This hack will make sure you manifest life exactly as you want it. I don't know that anybody actually promotes themselves that way, but I mean, I feel like that's what people are saying. And this notion that we're gonna be able to take this plane and master it in a way that we get exactly what we want when we want as quickly as we want doesn't make any sense. If we could do that, what is the point of being here? Right? If you can always get and have what you want, what is there to learn? What is there to gain from it? Right? The hedon doesn't learn anything about themselves other than maybe what they like in a moment or not. If the hedonist isn't feeling pleasure, they're not really feeling alive at all. And so if we always got what we want, what would we be feeling anyway? Like what contrast would there be to offer us context? And so while it may seem like, oh, that's just the way it turns, or sometimes it might feel like you're being pushed or things are being taken away from you, maybe it's just the nature of it all. Maybe your intention in a small piece of it is A, B, C, D, but the greater evolutions of it aren't anywhere close to what that is. But we don't know that because we can't see that far. We can't understand that far. We haven't gotten that far, nor have any examples of that farness, that furtherness, that evolution in our scope. And so, with that lack of context in the greater scale, we think that we want this smaller thing right here, right now. And in a world where you are going through it alone, and people do have partners and they go through life together, they're still doing their own thing within the context of a partnership. But with somebody like me who I don't have a huge friend group and I don't have a large, family that I am within, a close proximity to. If something happens, it really just ultimately falls on me. So my reading a situation wrong feels deathly. It feels deadly to me because what if I get something wrong about my health? I get something wrong about a situation I'm doing and it does me wrong, does me dirty, whatever. And that's the feeling that I have. It's that like, wow, if I got this wrong, what does that mean in the greater context of moving forward in life safely when I don't necessarily have a huge net to fall on or fall in on or fall back on? I've had a big crew over my life, but some have fluxed in and fluxed out. Some have passed away, which is crazy. One of my friends, I've outlived him by a year as far as age. That's insane to me. I'm 42. He died at 41. That was devastating and still surreal. I didn't see him before he died, and I wasn't able to make it to his funeral because I didn't know about the details. Slash, his family didn't want us friends there. Some of them went. So for all I know, he's still alive, but he isn't. But it feels like he could be because I never saw it. Right. And so these potential realities, these probable realities, these potentiations and these manifestations are as real as your imagination. It just may not be your reality. And that's the thing that you have to be able to sort through, right? If it is a possibility, even though it may not be a probability, you can imagine it. And that imagination is the start of that manifestation process. But the details of it may be different. And that's this key to it. What does the manifestation feel like? And if the feeling is what matters, then does it matter what it looks like? Well, only if you're attached to the details being a specific way, right? Attachment is the root of all suffering. Attachment is the root of disease, according to Ayurveda. So, what do you take away from this? Trust your gut instincts because they usually are not wrong, but that doesn't mean that even if they're not wrong, that the reality of the situation isn't what it is. Like if something can't happen because of the details of it now or people's feelings or whatever, then that's what it is. And that's what you have to accept. And that's where peace and serenity come from. Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Right? Sometimes the change is a long game and sometimes it's not possible, but that doesn't mean you stop trying. That doesn't mean that you give it up completely. What do you do with it? Well, you try to get clear with yourself to make sure you're not doing yourself dirty and that you are okay with yourself and that you did good by yourself, that you were honest and genuine with yourself and those you love, right? Obviously, it depends on your commitment levels to different people, but the only person who can 100% fully show it for you, because there are just certain aspects of self that are not available to anybody else, is you. Period. End of story. Life is hard, but it is possible to be well and be free.